Welcome back to Views with User Jennifer News. This is Jerome Hughes. Going to go ahead and get right into this story. All right, so let's talk about something that's not at all surprising, okay? Now, the Canadian-owned Disney Shill Media site Collider, as you all see here, just put one of the most nasty and disgusting, downright evil articles out there yesterday, okay? And it's full of racist and sexist hate directed at white males, blaming them for the failures of Lucasfilm and its terrible shows like The Acolyte, okay? Now, for those who don't know, Disney Shill Media site Collider is owned by a Canadian company called Valnet. Okay, they run a bunch of other left-wing entertainment sites like MovieWeb, ScreenRite, and even CBR. Okay, they published an article by Cameron Barnett titled "Star Wars' Biggest Problem is the Fans." Okay, and in this piece, Barnett dismisses legitimate criticisms of the Acolyte and instead labels white male Star Wars fans as bigots and racists, blaming them for not watching these awful shows that Lucasfilm keeps putting out. Now, Barnett writes that Leslie Headland's groundbreaking series has been relentlessly review bombed online, which is just false. That's just not true. And people are simply sharing their opinions. And since Barnett doesn't like those opinions, he's actually trying to paint them in a negative light. Now, this is the pattern with social justice warriors, woke cultists, as well as other extremists, that they lie, they double down on their lies, and they just project their own issues on the others. And Barnett fits this mold perfectly. Okay, now he also says that causing the Acolyte to possess a huge disparity between its positive critical reception and abysmal audience score on an aggregate websites like Rotten Tomatoes. We all know that critics often don't review movies and shows honestly. There's even an interview with the Sci-Fi Wire director admitting this. Plus, there's also evidence that the third-party companies pay for positive Rotten Tomatoes reviews, and I've also made videos about that before. Now, before we continue, let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below, and be sure to go ahead and smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. Now, the author continues, since the majority of these hate-filled criticisms are either overreactions to alleged continuity errors within the Disney Star Wars universe or backlash aimed at attacking the show's long overdue inclusivity. Now, the Media Shill here is upset that his inclusive agenda is being rejected by the fans, and people are actually saying no to it. They're not engaging with it or watching or even letting it poison their minds with this kind of ideology. Now, this media Disney Shill says the bad actors spreading them are clearly spinning controversy out of nothing, even though he just mentioned continuity errors and he contradicts himself in the same sentence. Then he claims this outrage is manufactured and tied to the demographic of the original trilogy. What in the world could he mean by that? Could he mean the OG fans? Now, let's be clear. Point out that the Disney, Star Wars, The Acolyte, Lucasfilm, and Disney are pushing an agenda of inclusivity, which reality is about demonizing white men, is just completely justified. Now, there's a reason why Disney is facing an EEOC complaint from America First Legal. James O'Keefe has exposed their race-based hiring practices, and Disney executives have also admitted this on record. And inclusivity in this context is actually anti-white, especially anti-white male, and opposing it is not wrong. And Disney's clearly pushing this agenda through their programming. Now, the Disney Star Wars The Acolyte is a mess. Now, they've messed up the story so many ways that they came up with something called the thread to replace the force. And get this, they say two lesbian space witches used the thread to create twins. And plus, multiple Jedi find out that about a Sith attack, even though the Jedi thought the Sith were extinct for over 1,000 years, like we've learned in The Phantom Menace. So yeah, the Acolyte's got a lot of problems, where continuity problems, real problems, and that's just the continuity issues. The story itself is terrible, and the pacing is awful. The dialogue is horrible. The acting is also poor. The way it's also filmed is bad, and the combat scenes are just basically a joke. But overall, The Acolyte is just low quality show. Even if it was in Star Wars, it'll be still bad and boring. Now, when the Disney Shill here talks about demographics of the original trilogy, he means the white men, okay? He's not talking about fans like myself that are black who are original fans also. And it's like, back then, Hollywood told stories through a Eurocentric white male lens. But there's plenty of black films in the 70s, and shows here that this guy's lying. But he doesn't even stop there. But he says that the original Disney Star Wars trilogy had, not Disney, but the original Star Wars trilogy had a mostly white cast of female characters with unrealized potential. So basically, George Lucas said that people like this are off their rocker. What is he even talking about? Princess Leia was leading the rebellion. She's the one in charge. And here's the kicker. He's really upset because there's no LGBTQ plus storylines in the original trilogy. This Disney shill is just living a discarded lifestyle and is lashing out because he knows it's just wrong. He's got to double down to make himself feel better. But deep down, he knows it's unnatural. So it wasn't clear this whole piece is written by this Disney shill's twisted ideology, and this Disney shill here wants to push discarded disordered lifestyles and woke ideologies using Star Wars. He's mad at a big part of the Star Wars fan base rejects him, so he's lashing out, and I believe that's what he's doing. As a Vox Day says, his books SJW's lie, they double down and project. Now, this Disney show doubles down a lot and says, while powerful female leaders like Mon Mothma and iconic princesses like Leia are outspoken forces for good, Leia's relationship with the Force and her father glossed over for her brother, and Leia's bikini scene in Jabba's palace fodder for male fantasy, so he admits he's lying. He points out that these female characters lead the rebellion, but tries to justify his lie by saying Luke Skywalker is the main protagonist and not a woman. Is this who Disney Star Wars wants to watch their shows? This kind of shills here and this hateful individuals. This man is full of hate right here, okay? Now, this guy is trying to cover up Disney's terrible sequel trilogy by admitting it sucks, but then praising their choice to hire Daisy Ridley as Rey and John Boyega as Finn, saying it was a big deal for the franchise. But come on, we already had Lando and Carrie Fisher. He's just lying, okay? This Disney show also says that hiring them led to online harassment with people wanting to take Star Wars back to less inclusive times. But Daisy Ridley herself debunked this nonsense in an interview back then on the Today Show, where she said, I think things get blown out of proportion, and every interaction I've had with fans has been great and supportive. When I was announced to return at Celebration, the joy and goodwill were unbelievable. So I'm confident that we're making a great film and people love it. So Daisy Ridley herself says that the guy's full of it, basically, okay? And then he also pushes the fake story about Kelly Marie Tran. You remember her, who played Rose Tico when she quit Instagram because Star Wars fans harassment. He broke Kelly Marie Tran's heartwarming performance as Rose Tico drew the ire of racist internet horde, causing her to quit Instagram to protect her mental health. But if you read Kelly Marie Tran's op-ed in the New York Times, she actually doesn't even mention Star Wars fans at all. She just says, I'm the first woman of color to have a leading role in Star Wars movie. No mention of harassment making her quit Instagram. Another lie from this Disney shill. Easily debunked, okay? And these shills keep lying, trying to make you believe their falsehoods, and they don't care about the truth. It's all about pushing their agenda, and this guy is doing it. And throughout the whole article, he also goes on to attack those who oppose LGBTQ lifestyle, saying not only did the final film in the sequel trilogy 2019's The Rise of Skywalker greatly reduce Rose's screen time, but the brief lesbian kiss at the end was disappointing for those wanting real queer storylines. And it's all about pushing, that certain lifestyles using Star Wars to do it, which is basically unnatural in everything. But thankfully, the latest Star Wars shows are more inclusive. In the age of digital hate, the lesbian relationship in Andor and the one in Acolyte are steps forward for LGBTQ inclusion in Star Wars. Again, it's all about pushing the gay agenda. He knows the main opposition is white men, so he's attacking them for standing against his unnatural and evil ideology. But he also goes on to say that how he ends the article by writing, the loudest fans of the franchise are using the internet to push a bigoted agenda rooted in old prejudices, while mainstream Star Wars content making meaningful stories, it's being dragged down by hate in the background. Foolish. But true fans know that the Star Wars universe is a sci-fi wonderland where anything can happen and everyone belongs, and the future looks bright for those who have already embraced the compassion that all viewers should have learned long ago. I mean, that's actually not compassion. He's not talking about compassion. This Disney shill is simply twisting words. It's not compassionate to let someone get trapped into this kind of lifestyle, mess up their mind, ruin their body, and damage their soul. That's not compassion at all. It's actually wrong to let people stay stuck in the mental and spiritual slavery. And real compassion is telling them the truth about it, helping them to move away from these harmful ideologies. And sometimes, well, let's be honest here. sometimes people are so lost that you have to just pray for them. And it's like no matter how much you talk to them and stuff to work on their heart, prayer is still a powerful tool, and we have to do that. But I also find it ironic that he spends the rest of the article attacking white males while showing that he's a real racist and misandrist because he's clearly hating on white males. And then he has the nerve to say that Star Wars is a place where anyone belongs. Well, why are you spending your whole time on the article hating on white men if Star Wars is actually a place for everyone? That's because he's lying. His real purpose isn't to make Star Wars for everyone. It's only for those who follow these woke, hateful ideologies that he's pushing and he's clearly bought into, okay? But furthermore, I mean, as he admits, fans have no control over the content that Lucasfilm creates, okay? Now, maybe Jon Favreau listens to the fans' feedback, but Kathleen Kennedy clearly doesn't. And Leslie Headland doesn't either. And Kathleen Kennedy doesn't listen to anyone, okay? And Rian Johnson also calling people man babies and not listening to anyone. Then there's also J.J. Abrams didn't listen to anyone either. Now, they're all on board the woke train alone. They don't even listen to George Lucas. Dave Filoni brought back Ahsoka. She should be dead. George Lucas wanted her dead. Even David Filoni admitted that, okay? Now, the real problem with Star Wars, Disney Star Wars, that it has hired degenerate woke ideologues to push their various ideologies unsuspecting onto unsuspecting viewers, and that's a problem because that's what they're doing. Unfortunately, they're incompetent and bad at their jobs, and they're not telling compelling, interesting stories, and mostly because the stories are just full of a lot of disgusting, evil ideologies, and most people find that instinctively repulsive, and people aren't watching it. They're tuning out, actually, and they're at least tuning out the shows that Lucasfilm and Disney are making. And they now watch the shows like the WW Pro Show, Evil Critical Drinker, Nerdrotic, and other YouTubers mocking what Star Wars has become. And this and people are laughing at it and talking about how awful it is. And this is what Barnett is really mad about, you know, the Disney Shill himself. And he's this Disney Shill lost the chance to brainwash and corrupt people. And Star Wars is no longer a strong vehicle to inject woke messaging. And this is because more and more people are simply saying no. And also, it's possible that more people should say no, and we should all reject this Disney Shill and other Disney Shills, and they're discussing evil racism and misandry, okay? So, let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Let me know what went wrong in the video. Be sure to include any additional thoughts you might have on this particular topic. If you enjoyed what I shared in this video, go ahead, smash the like button, share far wide across social media. And if you haven't done so already, and you enjoyed all the content that I put out there, go ahead, subscribe to the channel. Click the bell notification so that way you'll be notified of future uploads and updates. Till then, peace.